Hey guys, it's Graham, a novelist, illustrator, and truck driver in Oklahoma City. Let's talk about Animorphs. If you remember the 90s, chances are you came across this series. Prior to Harry Potter, it was the biggest thing in kid lit, featuring a scrappy group of middle schoolers as they battled a secret alien invasion. After reading the first volume, I was hooked. My brothers and I devoured them for years to come. There was even an extremely low-budget TV show on Nickelodeon for 5 whole minutes. It kinda, sorta followed the books. It fizzled out rather quickly because it's hard to make alien costumes and do special effects and find enough animals to put on a cheap kids show. Fun fact, though, this was Shawn Ashmore's first big role before he played Iceman in 2000. My investment into the series month to get the latest installment. I hit up B. Dalton, which doesn't even exist anymore, and I'd grab the newest Animorphs. I'd try to flirt with the hot 18-year-old behind the counter. She wasn't having it. And then I'd shoot my remaining chore money at the food court before heading home, listening to something really tight on my Discman the whole way. It was 1999, and we were unstoppable, you guys. The series overall ran for about 5 years, and to be honest, I never finished it. By the time I was 15 or 16, I caught that mid-teen whiff of perfume and gasoline, and I spent my time and energy in other areas. I still read books, just not these. Someone told me how they ended, or maybe I read the last page of the last volume when I saw it on a shelf somewhere, so it's semi-spoiled for me. It's a bit of a downer, but there it is. Yet now, here we are, 27 years after the series launched, and it's getting a second lease on life. For better or worse, the publisher is reissuing the books with new covers, which I don't care for, but the old ones are kinda dated, so what are you gonna do? More importantly, they're all getting audiobook versions now, and they've been releasing in batches. Here I am with a son when Animorphs #1 came out, so it's the perfect time for him to discover this saga and for me to finally finish it. I've got about 20 books left to get to the end, and they're only 3 or 4 hours long per book. Chances are I will knock out the whole thing in 2024. The story focuses on Jake, his best friend Marco, his cousin Rachel, his girlfriend Cassie, and an acquaintance named Tobias who's kind of poor and orphaned. Jake saved him from getting beat up at school one time. One night, they're heading home from the mall. Remember when kids would hang out at malls? And they take a shortcut through a construction site where they meet a dying alien named Elfangor as he crashes his ship. He tells them that the Earth is under slow invasion by the Yeerk Empire. Yeerks are tiny little helpless slugs, but they can crawl into your brain and control your body with free access to your memories. They act like you, talk like you, and live as you. Someone could be a controller, as they're called, and you'd have no idea. The only thing Elfangor can do to help is to give these seemingly random 12-year-olds the ability to morph into animals and fight the Yeerks. They take it and then run away as the Yeerks show up to kill off Elfangor. Now the game is on. It's a straightforward premise that lends itself well to a serial format. With each passing book, you get a story from a different character's perspective, and they usually try morphing into a new animal, learning about its senses, its strengths and weaknesses, and so on. My son is really into animals, so he digs that part. While some of the stories can be a little bit wacky with their concepts, K.A. Applegate and her ghostwriters always take them seriously and expand the world as they go. I mention her ghostwriters because she had a couple of them over the years. If I understand it right, she handled the outlines and the direction, and then different ghostwriters would mimic her tone and style as they fleshed them out to keep the monthly volumes on time. Then Applegate would handle the bigger books in the series, like the Andalite Chronicles, the Hork-Bajir Chronicles, Visser, and the Elemist Chronicles. I could be wrong about the exact arrangement, though, so if you have more details, let me know in the comments. Despite the target audience being very young, the books dealt with heavier themes under the surface. These kids really come to rely on each other when they can't trust anyone, not even their families. Early on, Jake learns that his brother is a controller, and Marco finds out in the 5th book that his mom, who he thought was dead, is actually alive and being controlled by Visser 1, a high-ranking baddie in the Yeerk Empire. And while they do have plenty of knockdown, drag-out fights in their animal forms, the story isn't about open warfare. They have to be smart and learn what they can while still leading their normal lives. The characters are kind of one note, but they bring different things to the table, and they shine in different situations. Jake is the leader, the one everyone trusts, even if he second-guesses himself, and his instincts are usually good. Rachel is the gung-ho warrior who tends to think things through more than the others. Cassie is the group's moral center, often raising questions about whether they should be doing things a certain way or not. Tobias, who gets stuck in the body of a hawk in the first book, is a survivor. He comes from a broken home and brings a blunt perspective that the others just don't have. Rounding out the cast is the alien Axe, the younger brother of Elfangor, who joins the team in the fourth book. He's usually the one to explain different types of aliens and different pieces of advanced science to the Animorphs, which helps them plan their missions. He provides some comic relief, too, as he tries to wrap his head around human societies. As the series progresses, the Animorphs meet new aliens and learn different things about the Yeerk Empire. Some books show new sides of our own world, too. In one book, they morph into giant squid and they go deep into the bottom of the ocean. In another one, they have to morph into cows to infiltrate a slaughterhouse that the Yeerks want. I'm all for eating red meat, but I do think it's important to know where your food comes from and how we get it, and that volume described it pretty vividly to my young brain. I also remember an episode where the Animorphs have to solve a mystery on this exciting new piece of technology called the Internet. Please remember, this was 1998 or something. Smartphones were a decade away, Wi-Fi didn't exist, and most public schools didn't have access regularly. If you had home internet, you were pretty cool. The pop culture references are likewise dated, but they're not so prevalent that you're taken out of the story in the 2020s. Marco makes jokes about Hanson, but he also constantly talks about Spider-Man and Batman. It's accessible to kids today. For my money, the best books were the Chronicles that I mentioned before, 1998. That was a huge event when it dropped. I was more than willing to fork over $13 for the first Animorphs hardcover. I must have read that thing a dozen times. The audiobook just came out in December of 2023. I pre-ordered it months ago out of curiosity, hoping it was as good as I remembered, and I wasn't disappointed. The Hork-Bajir Chronicles is a beautiful tragedy. It's told from three characters' perspectives: an Andalite named Aldrea, a Hork-Bajir named Dakhami, and a Yeerk named Esplin 9466. Aldrea is the daughter of the Andalite prince who foolishly gave technology to the Yeerks, allowing them to leave their homeworld and become a menace to the entire galaxy, enslaving billions. She wants to fight back against the Yeerks and restore honor to her family name. Dakhami is an intelligent specimen amongst the simple Hork-Bajir, who learns that everything he thought about his homeworld and his people was a lie, and that they're being invaded because they're physically strong and the Yeerks need muscle. Rounding it out is Esplin, an ambitious Yeerk who contributes to the conquest of the Hork-Bajir homeworld, and eventually becomes Visser III, leader of the invasion of Earth. While this prequel novel can't really have a happy ending, though Hork-Bajir do get conquered after all, the epilogue gives the reader a dose of optimism, with the message that the story isn't over. What's past is prologue, and the defeats of yesterday don't have to mean that tomorrow is lost. The Yeerks are using Hork-Bajir as shock troopers throughout the galaxy, but Earth has a lot of advantages that the Hork-Bajir didn't, and those can make all the difference. I'm impressed that they've held up this well over the war, and writes it down to her audience level without minimizing what's really terrible about it. The fear, the exhaustion, the setbacks, the struggle to find hope, all of that is there, right alongside the camaraderie and friendship and the joy of small victories along the way. The Yeerks don't know that they're dealing with annoying little human teenagers doing guerrilla warfare. Nope, they do have a gorilla though. Like I said, I'm excited to finish this and see what else Applegate has up her sleeve before the end. There were books where the Animorphs get sent back in time to the dinosaurs, or across space, or to alien worlds, fighting proxy battles for beings that are basically interstellar gods. It all speaks to the vastness of the stars and the intelligences out there. The scale shows the Animorphs that they're not alone, even if they're one world fighting on one front against a massive empire. It's a triumph of imagination that helps young readers expand their minds and look at the world in new ways. Did you read these as a kid? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll probably do recap videos of the series, but in batches, like 5 books at a time. No point in overdoing it since they're all short enough. Thanks for watching this far. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, and do please subscribe. Drive safe. I'll see you out there. It's a triumph of imagination that helps young readers expand their minds and look at the world in new ways. Did you read these as a kid? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll probably do a recap video of the series, but in batches, like 5 books at a time. No point in overdoing it since they're all short enough. Thanks for watching this far. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, and do please subscribe. Till next time, drive safe. See you out there.